How to find unlimited courthouse leads for free. Guys, it's Rick Ginn. In this video, I'm going to walk through the best courthouse leads, and I'm going to explain what they are, why we use them in wholesaling, and most importantly, where to go to get them. But before we get into it, do me a favor, make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button to continue to receive the best information on wholesaling today. So courthouse leads, I know a lot of you say, oh my gosh, that's so obvious. Like, why do you have to tell us, Rick? Here's the reality. A lot of you assume just because courthouse leads are free, meaning they're not very effective. And I'm here to tell you, in wholesaling, you have to find the most highly motivated leads. Period. End of story. And the best way to find a motivated lead is just like if you're going to look for a fire. If you're looking for a fire, it's easier to find the smoke before you find the fire. The smoke is actually in the courthouse leads. So let's get into it and let's find the best courthouse leads that you can take advantage. Remember, just because they're free doesn't mean they're easy to get. You're going to have to earn these lists. If you want to learn exactly how to get these types of lists, go over to freewholesaling.com and I explain it in further detail. But let's get going. So my favorite courthouse leads is always going to be probates. And what are probates? It is the legal process of the court system winding down the deceased person's final affairs, particularly when it comes to titling stuff. It can be cars, boats, bank accounts, stock certificates, and most likely real estate, which is going to be the biggest asset within the probate. And the reason why probates are so great for wholesaling is kind of twofold. Number one, first of all, obviously, the motivation is usually pretty high for somebody who wants to sell a property in probate. Because here's the process. Somebody gets appointed the PR, the personal representative, and they're usually the most responsible person in the family, and it's going to be laid out in the deceased person's will. Once that person's appointed the PR, and there's a process you go through the legal system, and basically a lawyer files a petition to elect the PR, and then they show the documentation for it. Once that person's appointed PR, they actually take the role of the deceased person. Obviously, they have the power to sign and transact on any deeds, anything titled within the probate, and it has to be approved by the court system. Now, there's a lot of bad information out there. People say, oh, you got to wait till the probate's done and all that. Please don't listen to that. Those are people that don't understand probates, and you can take the lazy way and wait for the probate to be done, but I promise you there are better ways to do it. In fact, if you go over to freewholesaling.com, I teach you a little bit of trick on how to buy probates before the probates are completed. You see, rookies and novices or people that never really do probates, they wait till the very end. Why? Because it's all they know and it's all they teach. So for wholesalers like me, I know I have a competitive advantage if I find off-market properties that are not available to the public. If you do a probate and you can get a signed contract before the probate's completed, you are way ahead of the game. And this is why I love probates, because you can take advantage of off-market properties. You definitely hone in on motivated sellers. The other reason why I like probate so much is they're typically outdated, they need a lot of work, and most people just want to sell it and take their money out without doing all the rehab and the work. That's where you, the wholesaler, comes in perfectly. Guys, I've done this over 236 times. It happens every year in my business. Now, probates, there's only so many per county. There's over 3,200 counties, and every county is a little bit different. So you got to learn your state's process, your county's process, and then you need to go into your courthouse and pull those probates. The other advantage of probates is because they do take time and it does take some court approval. We don't wait till the very end, I promise you, is you have time to find a cash buyer. In fact, most of you are brand new wholesalers, don't even have a cash buyers list. We need to get to work on that. But the reality is you can have anywhere from 30 to 180 days to find a cash buyer. Keep in mind, most of these properties are vacant. They need work. It is the perfect, I mean the absolute perfect property to wholesale because you're solving a big problem. You're trying to get a property sold that somebody else doesn't want. They don't want to put the work in, but they do want their money out of it. And that's where us as wholesalers, you and me, create a win-win situation for everybody involved. Guys, probates are wonderful. If you've never even done a deal, don't worry about it. You don't need to know everything about probates. So number one, most of your probates questions can be answered by a legitimate, real good title company. So if you're working with a title company for your wholesale operation, most of the questions will be answered by the title company. Why? Because they look at probates all day long. Now, you can consult with a probate lawyer, but if you don't have a relationship with them, they're typically going to charge you. So I would work with your title company, and then they'll connect you with the lawyers that need be to help any type of issues you have. Remember, you don't need representation in the probate. That is for your motivated sellers. Remember, you're just a cash buyer on it, but understand you're going to have to work through an attorney. If you want to learn more how to do probates, go over to freewholesaling.com. Now, most importantly, where do I go to get these probates? It's simple. You're going to go to your county courthouse, they have a probate court, and you're going to go over there and talk nicely to the gal or the guy that runs that department and explain, say, listen, I'm looking to pull the most recent probates. What is the process for doing it? Now, you're probably going to get some resistance. Overcome resistance with persistence. Even if you're told no, keep coming back. This is public information. You have the right to it. You just got to find a way to get around the privacy policy. So how often to pull these? Minimum once a week if you can do it. I pull them twice a week in really hot counties. Don't try to batch them and pull them every 30 or 90 days because whoever gets to the lead first usually wins. How to contact the lead? Very simply, either send them a letter. We'd show you how to do that at pre-wholesaling.com, or just pick up the phone and call them and skip trace them. It's the easiest way. And be patient with people in probates. You have to be an empathetic person. You have to connect with them. If you want to do it transactionally, you're not going to get a great deal. If you can connect with them and create a relationship, probates are phenomenal. Don't overlook them. The next free courthouse lead are pre-foreclosures. And what are pre-foreclosures? It's basically when people take a mortgage out on their property and they stop making the payments to the bank for one reason or another. Maybe they lost their job. Maybe they're just upside down on the property. Maybe they just overspent their money. Now, when this happens, the bank will start sending them nasty letters, start giving them phone calls. And once they get a few months behind, the bank can actually go down to the courthouse and file a lawsuit. And this is what we call pre-foreclosure. The foreclosure is when the property is actually sold at auction. So if you catch a seller in the early stages of this, usually within the first 4 or 5 months, you have a great opportunity to really help them out. The problem with pre-foreclosures is most people in this situation, they bury their head in their sand and they just completely ignore it and expect a miracle at the end. And that's the problem. You got to find people in pre-foreclosure that want to work with you right off the bat. These are usually much less dramatic transactions. There's usually more cash to give to the seller, and there's usually a much bigger profit spread because you have options. The last thing you want to do with pre-foreclosures is deal with them in the last 30 days when it's going to the auction. There's usually very little money left in the property. The fees are through the roof, and it usually takes legal help to get through this process. Now, why are pre-foreclosures so great? Obviously, it is the motivation of a lifetime. When people are getting ready to lose their house, if they don't take action, they're going to get nothing, and they'll probably get a big fat judgment on it. That's where you and me, the wholesaler, comes in to create a win-win situation. I'd rather them walk away with their dignity, some money in their pocket, and avoid the entire foreclosure and their credit getting hit. This is why pre-foreclosure leads are so great. Now, where do you get them? You basically go down your county courthouse, and they're going to have a foreclosure department. If not, they'll point you in the right direction, and you want to get this list. This list should be easy. It is a public lawsuit. They can't hide it. So just try to get this list, and the fresher you get the data and the faster you chase these types of sellers down. What's the best way? Honestly, I like to do reverse driving for dollars where you put the sticky note on it, and the other one is just flat out cold calling. They don't really respond well to mail. Some people like to door knock, but door knocking is very competitive, if not illegal in some counties. So I probably don't want you doing that method. But guys, I love pre-foreclosures. The third free courthouse list are evictions. And evictions is just a process when a landlord owns a property and the tenant stops paying, or they've caused damages, or they won't renew their lease. This is the legal process where the landlord files a lawsuit to kick the tenant out and hold them responsible for damages, any back rents. And like in the state of Florida, it only takes 20 days to do this. Now, where's the motivation in this? The reality is when a tenant's not paying or the property's trash, this is actually the best opportunity to buy these types of deals. Now, you can simply go down to your courthouse and pull your evictions list. This list, it should be public because it is a very public lawsuit. And if you catch them early enough when they're not making cash flow, the property's in rough condition, that is the time a landlord's typically going to sell. Now, here's the sweet spot on the eviction list. Try to find landlords that own 4 or less properties, and the ones that own it in their name, they're not really good landlords, and they're trying to get out of the real estate business. They're going to give you the best deal. Once they own 4 or more properties, they tend to be professionals, and that's why it becomes challenging. So as I said, just go down to your local county courthouse, look for the foreclosure section and pull them. Here's the cool part. A lot of these leads can be pulled online. They are wonderful for wholesale deals because a lot of these types of properties, I'll buy them with the problem tenant with a huge discount, and it becomes a huge win-win-win for everybody involved. Don't overlook eviction lists. I've given you the top 3 free courthouse leads with the highest motivation. Let me share 2 leads with you I'm going to tell you to avoid. And a lot of people tell you to get these lists. I've had like zero success with them. And the success I've had with them, I've been so painful with drama with very little money, I would avoid them. Number 1, the divorce list. list. I'm not even going to go into this. It's painful. One side usually wants to give the property away. One wants millions of dollars. And it comes to he said, she said. And if they got kids involved, it's tough. I've been through divorce personally. It's not a fun list. And usually there's not enough motivation because everyone's hunting for money for the lawyers. So I usually can't pay top dollar. So I avoid these lists at all costs unless it comes across one of my marketing channels. Number two, bankruptcy. If people would be bankruptcy, that'd be great. There's just too much red tape involved. And most people that go through bankruptcy usually have no equity in the property, meaning they have no money into it. And you have to go through a trustee process. It's painful. And a lot of you guys think the homeowner has the final decision. Once they file bankruptcy, they've lost that right. And it is a muddied up process. And even if you get the property at a deep discount, you have to run it by the trustee. And the trustee wants to collect as much money as possible to pay the creditors. And this is why it's not a great idea. So guys, make sure you avoid these two types of lists and go attack the free list I talked about early in this video. That's going to be your probates, your pre-foreclosures, and your eviction list. Why? Because where there's smoke, there's fire. The motivation is there. Go out and get them. Now, guys, if you got value from this video, do me a favor, make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button to continue to receive videos just like this. This is Rick Ginn, and I'll see you in the next video.